Hello and welcome back to the Debrief. Let's just jump straight into it. This is a big week. It's a huge week for the world, but it's specifically an even bigger week for America. That's right, we are talking about the US presidential election. And I'm going to title this episode, which I haven't done thus far this series, but I'm going to title it, it's called Personality or Politics, because I think that's what we're dealing with here, okay? We're looking at what are the policies and who is liked more. We're at the drum roll of the presidential election. We've not got long to go. It's nail-biting at the moment. We will find out who the USA choose to be the new president. The battle is between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Now, Donald Trump has been down this road before. It is him running for his second term in office, but this is actually his third time running as president, and we'll see what happens. The polls are saying it's a close nail-biter. We've got 48 to Harris, 46 to Donald Trump, but that number keeps oscillating and changing. In 2016 and 2020, the polls grossly overestimated the support for the Democratic Party, and yeah, it didn't work out in their favor. So the polls are iffy. Unlike anything we've ever seen before, this is a campaign based on personality rather than policy, which, say what you will, say what you may, might be to Trump's advantage. We'll talk about it a little bit later on, but it's a nail-biter because they are two very polarizing characters. You've got the Republicans on one side who absolutely do not like anything that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden stand for, because Joe Biden is the current president, Kamala Harris is the VP, so they are anti-them. And then you've got the Democrats who are also vehemently against Donald Trump, and they think that he's a threat to democracy, etc., etc. So we are going to talk about it all, and you're probably wondering why. Why are we talking about this here? Well, someone once said famously, when America sneezes, the world gets a cold. Unfortunately, it affects us all. It does. Listen, I'm not voting, and I technically have no skin in the game, but it will affect us all in some way, shape, or form. Plus, also, I'll be honest with you, there's something about the American political rally/campaigns that's kind of fun. Like, we don't have that over here. It's very boring. It's very British. Like, we've got Conservatives, we've got Labour, boring. But over there, they've got these big rallies with superstars and music and Meg the Stallion twerking. So let's see what's going to happen, okay? Now, let's talk about the differences between the campaigns. We've got Kamala Harris, who's led a very Gen Z campaign. If you are on TikTok, then you know that she and her team have been pushing, for the Gen Z vote. She also has endorsements from the likes of Charlie XCX, who called her brat. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't fully know what that means, but I think it's good. But anyway, it's very brat, very green, yay. We also have Taylor Swift taking to Instagram to say she has her vote, which took a lot of people by surprise, okay? They were quite taken aback by that. Kamala has a strong female following, mainly due to her policies around, abortion rights. Usually this campaign has seen a lot of female Republicans turning to the Democratic Party because, as we know, famously, Roe v. Wade was overturned. For those of you who don't know what Roe v. Wade is, it was the abortion legislation that was in America that allowed women to have autonomy over their bodies. It was overturned in certain states, which means it is now illegal in certain states for women to have abortions, to the point where some women need medical abortions and they are actually dying. So it's a really big thing for people who are voting. And I would say that this election has turned a lot of people into single issue voters, which means for one issue, depending on what the political person is on which side for, that's the person they're going to vote for, which has its pros and cons, but I personally think we should maybe look at everything. But as a woman, I'm not going to lie to you, not having autonomy over your own body and laws dictating what you can and can't do with your own body absolutely is something that I don't agree with. So it's a nail-biter, like I said. A lot of Republican women are voting Democrat because of this. Liz Cheney, a Republican politician who served as the congresswoman from Wyoming. Where the heck is that? Wyoming, I don't know what it is. In the US, the House of Representatives accompanied Kamala Harris to rallies in the swing states. For those of you who don't know what a swing state is, it means it is a state that could swing either way. There are certain states that are definitely Republican, definitely Democratic. So, for example, New York, for the most part, is very Democratic, and Texas is very Republican. So they do a lot of rallies in swing states because that's where you want to get the voters, because they can go either way, okay? And they were urging for Republicans to vote for the Democrats over the abortion rights. Even Liz has said, if you are anti-abortion, still vote for Kamala. Since Roe v. Wade was overturned, in some states, women can't get medical care that they need. Like I said, women are dying even if they need, medical abortions. Women can be prosecuted for flying to another state to get an abortion. Young girls who may need abortions because of abuse, etc., cannot get them. So it's a really big issue for a lot of voters. For Kamala, getting educated Republican women who find Trump distasteful could be an effective way to sway the vote in states where the polls are close. However, this is an election based on personality, not policy. Kamala has been criticized for missing key interviews and events such as Al Smith's dinner. The dinner is a white tie event held in New York and is a key part of the presidential campaign where candidates get to roast one another freely. This could be a key moment for Kamala to make her mark, but it didn't happen. With what seems to be the most of Hollywood to be on her side, and I'm talking Meg Thee Stallion, I'm talking Taylor Swift, as I said before, I'm talking actors. The cast of Scandal were there. She has a lot of Hollywood backing her. People are definitely swaying more to her in the public eye. Now, Kamala, again, is trying to be relevant, trying to be fun, She's also known on the streets as Kamala Harris, for those of you who don't know, because she has a very distinctive laugh. And she also sent a video skit done in collaboration with Saturday Night Live that people didn't find funny and thought it was a little bit cringy. Now, Kamala has also failed to recognize the issue within Biden's government, which is people's biggest issue. Now, I'm not saying that she hasn't spoken in great detail about what she would like to implement. It feels as though to get the Republican vote, she's trying to convince the Republicans that she's not going to do what Joe Biden done, because Joe Biden is not liked amongst Republicans. And I don't necessarily know if that's going to work in her favor. Anyway, another big issue is immigration. And it's a big concern, and it's something that people believe Biden's government failed to control. They believe that the border has no control over it. There's a lot of quote unquote illegal immigrants coming in and out of the country. And it seems as though people feel like it's not an issue that they think the current White House is taking enough action on. And it seems Kamala needs some excitement injected into her campaign. However, it could be a little too late. Despite votes being counted on November 5th, Americans are allowed to vote earlier to avoid crowding. So a lot of people may have already cast their votes. I will say this, Kamala and Trump are both, they're running that race. They are doing podcasts, they are doing television, they are doing debates, they are going toe to toe on Twitter, on TikTok, you name it, they're on each platform. So they really do understand the gravity of this. Now, I want to talk about Donald Trump because, again, he's a big character in this presidential election. For those of you who don't know who Donald Trump is, you definitely have been living under a rock, because he has amassed so much press coverage over the most recent years. But even from his days on reality TV, even from his days with the Trump Tower, Donald Trump has been a notable name in the world of politics, in the world of famousness for a while. I would say personally, I actually got to know about Donald Trump outside of The Apprentice when Obama was running for his presidency, and there was the whole, was Obama born in the United States of America, or was he born in Kenya? Show us your birth certificate situation that's Trump basically spearheaded, right? And from there, I found out a lot more about this man. So like I said, he gets a lot of press coverage, and some people put it down to just how absurd he is. What he does, what he says, his mannerisms. Others say that it's the way to run a successful campaign. After all, there is no such thing as bad publicity, right?
Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired.
Trump has said some wild things, truly delusional things at some points. Some would even say some lies. He has said some lies. However, Trump has managed to do what a lot of political candidates can't do, which is he has managed to become a personality. I think he realizes that it's in this day and age, the meme, the fun, the funny, the comical does very well. So here are some more of the memorable things that he's done during the 2024 campaign. He claimed illegal immigrants from Haiti had been eating domestic pets.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
And that was just not true. That's not true. The mayor of Springfield actually came out and was like, yeah, no, that's not happening. So stop saying that. And then during a rally in Pennsylvania, Trump referred to the size of late golf legend Arnold Palmer's genitalia. A highly inappropriate, unprofessional, and disrespectful comment. During the same rally, Trump described Kamala Harris as a shit vice president.
So you have to tell Kamala Harris that you've had enough, that you just can't take it anymore. We can't stand you. You're a shit vice president.
He then also ended up swaying and bobbing to music for almost 40 minutes in a town hall in South Dakota. This happened after 2 incidences of, medical attention was required. But after they'd been seen to, Trump suggested that they just dance and sing for the remainder of the time. My favorite is when Trump does the YMCA and he does this little thing here. But like I said, it's all fun and games when it's on Twitter, but do we want that person running the country? I don't know. I don't know. Do I want him shaking the hands of other world leaders? I don't know. Okay. But like I said, he's everywhere, including McDonald's. He was seen serving fries to customers. And this was in an effort to prove that Kamala Harris is a liar, because Kamala had said she had worked at McDonald's whilst at university. Guys, I don't know. It sometimes feels like I'm watching 2 teen best friends arguing it out, and it's like, no, you're a liar, no, you're a liar, and you did this and you did this, and it's quite ridiculous because they are, politicians. But anyways, now more worryingly, Trump has said he wants to mobilize the army against his political opponents, having armed men stationed at polling stations, calling people voting against him the enemy within. He also made comments around news outlets saying he'd toss reporters in jail and strip major television networks of their broadcasting license as retribution for coverage he didn't like, which, can I just say, he just can't do. He's not allowed to do that. But I guess actually as a president, I guess you can kind of do anything you want. But I don't think he can do that. We'll see. If he wins, we'll see. Put your money where your mouth is. Let's see if he does it. Now, as you can see, Trump has undoubtedly conveyed more personality than Kamala, because he is respectfully cuckoo a little bit. I'm trying to stay as impartial as I can, but he leans towards the obscure. A weakness in his campaign is his lack of focus on Republican women, especially those who are on the fence about the potential to swing the vote. Where Kamala has been endorsed by celebrities or all over, from George Clooney to Oprah Winfrey, Trump has also had some support from famous friends, notably Elon Musk. But what effects will this have on the election? So I love talking about this because I think it's very interesting. Everybody says politics and pop culture do not mix, but they do. There is a weird little intersection where the 2 absolutely mix, because you cannot deny the likes of Taylor Swift, Bad Bunny, Beyoncé, Elon. They carry gravitas. There are fans of Elon Musk just like there are fans of Taylor Swift. And what that celebrity says and does carries a lot of power. Now, do I think it is a celebrity's responsibility to talk out on issues? No, I actually don't. I don't think. I think if you sing and you're a pop star, do I need to hear your thoughts on climate change? Probably not. I don't. Just sing your song and go off stage and live your life. But I do like it when pop stars, politicians, whatever, speak out on things that they do feel passionately about. Now, we all know that Taylor Swift is a huge fan of being an advocate for women, and she is kind of seen as the face of feminism for young girls around the world. So when she came out and basically gave her tick on Instagram for Kamala Harris, many people were quite shocked because usually she doesn't say much when it comes to politics. On Instagram, she wrote, "Like many of you, I watched the debate tonight. If you haven't already, now is a great time to do your research on the issues at hand and the stances these candidates take on the topics that matter to you the most. Recently, I was made aware that an AI of me falsely endorsing Donald Trump's presidential run was posted to his site. It really conjured up my fears around AI and the dangers of spreading misinformation. It brought me to the conclusion that I need to be very transparent about my actual plans for this election as a voter. The simplest way to combat information is with telling the truth. I will be casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz on the 2024 presidential election." And she goes on to talk about why she's made these, this decision and what it means to her. She also goes on to talk about how she loves Tim Walz and his stances on the LGBTQ plus rights, IVF, women's rights, and how he has advocated for women's bodies and ownership of their own bodies for years. She says, "I've done my own research and I've made my choice. Your research is yours to do. The choice is yours to make. With love and hope, Taylor Swift, childless cat lady." And that's how she signs it off. And if you think posting to Instagram isn't going to do much, then you're wrong. The stats are fascinating because according to CNN, vote.gov reported that Swift's call to action and endorsement of Vice President Kamala Harris brought in just shy of 500,000 visitors to the federal government's voting registration site. Just shy of 500,000. And now that number is based on fans who directly clicked the link on Swift's post on her Instagram stories. So that's not even taking into account the fans who went and researched the day after, or fans who went and talked about it at work, etc., etc. That is the power that a celebrity can have within a presidential election. Okay, now because of Taylor Swift, it's reported that 337,000 people registered to vote, and the number of voters in Pennsylvania doubled. Okay, Taylor seems to have an effect like no other. Now, like I said, Kamala has had many endorsements from celebrities. Most recently, Beyoncé came on stage with Kelly Rowland and made a speech urging voters in Texas to go out and use their voice and vote. In comparison, we then have Joe Rogan's podcast and we have Donald Trump going on. Now, the stats for this are also quite insane. So I'm going to read. Joe's podcast amassed 27 million views within a 24-hour period. Now, to put this in perspective, Rogan's most popular episode from his podcast on YouTube is over 60 million views. And that was like 4 or 5 years ago. So listen, like I said, having the endorsements / conversations with high profile celebrities will do wonders for your public status. And both Taylor Swift, Joe Rogan, Beyonce, they all have stature, they all have power, they all have pull. Will this work in favor of either political party? I don't know. I really don't know. I also want to mention that Joe Rogan had 2.2 million in impressions across social media platforms within 2 days. And he had over 900,000 mentions that directly mentioned the podcast over social media platforms. So like I said, the numbers are they're quite insane. Let's look at someone else who has got power and pull. That's Elon Musk. Now I'm not going to lie to you. Sidebar. Elon Musk to me was just some like nerdy man who like just made like nerdy things and like made a car. And now all of a sudden he owns Twitter, which he's now recoined as X. He's involved greatly in the political situation that's happening in America. I don't know what's happened. He's on a stage jumping around like a 3-year-old who's just been given a sweet. It's quite weird, but also fascinating to watch. Anyways, so we've got Elon Musk who's entered the chat, and he's one of Trump's biggest supporters. Trump has famously called him a great guy. He also donated at least 75 million to the group so far. Hey, Elon, I know I just called you a weirdo a second ago. Do you want to give me maybe like 3% of that 75 mil? Musk recently announced each day until polling on the 5th of November, a $1 million prize will be randomly awarded to any signatory in one of the 7 key swing states. It has been brought into question whether this is legal or not, as the US Code on Electoral Law states that anyone who pays or offers to pay or accepts payment either for registration to vote or for voting faces a potential $10,000 fine or a 5-year prison sentence. However, Musk's strategy may be covered by a loophole because no one is actually directly being paid to register to vote. Democrats are calling this an act of desperation. Listen, it might be an act of desperation, but £1 million is a lot of money, and we're in a cost of living crisis. So Elon might have his finger on the pulse. Do you know what I mean? Now, outside of paying people, Elon Musk has appeared on the campaign trail. Like I said, he was jumping up and down like a 4-year-old. He also made a speech on Trump's behalf, etc., etc. Now, how much of this will affect the election? We don't know. We actually don't know. And like I said, you might be wondering, why does the UK care? Like, what's it got to do with us? Well, Trump's foreign policy is the main cause for concern, as well as areas like national security and foreign policy. Also, potential opportunities for post-Brexit Britain in areas like trade and artificial intelligence. Trump has threatened to upend many cornerstones of the current US foreign policy, from defunding military support for Ukraine and requiring the EU to reimburse the US for ammunition used in Ukraine, withdrawing from NATO, or not coming to Europe's aid if attacked. Basically, it could affect us, okay? It could affect us. Some of us in the UK might wonder, like, why are Americans voting for Trump? And I think the easy escape is to say everyone who votes for Trump is dumb. Everyone who votes for Donald Trump is dumb. I think what's happening is there's always like a pendulum swing, right? People get fed up with one type of government and they swing across. We saw it in the UK. We were Labour for many years and people got tired with the likes of Tony Blair and Gordon Brown. And then the Conservatives came into party for a long time, and we had David Cameron, we had Liz Truss, we had Rishi Sunak, we had Boris Johnson, and it happens. The pendulum will always swing, and now we're back to Labour. People get fed up with the governments, and I think that's why it's good to be a part of a democracy, because after a couple of years you can vote somebody else in because you don't like the stance that that political party is taking anymore. That is your right as a voter, as a citizen of that country. You are allowed to do so, and I think that's what's happening in America. America is like, we are fed up of X, we want to go to Y, and we'll see what happens. Like I said, it's a close one. A lot of us around the world are watching. I'm not going to lie to you. I am glued. I will be there November 5th and I'll be watching it as it goes along, and we'll see what happens. But most importantly, if you are American, I would definitely say absolutely go and vote. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I would say go do your own research. Vote for the person who you think aligns with your political beliefs, but go and vote. I think not voting is, and I hate to say it, it's the easy option out. And somebody's going to shout at me, but it is, because at the end of the day, you've got 2 decisions to make and you've got to make one. And to not vote and then complain about the outcome feels counterproductive to me. Let me know your thoughts. Are you voting? Are you against voting? Are you for it? Are you in America? Do you think this will affect you in whatever country you're watching from? But like I said, go vote, do what you want with your voice. Love you lots for watching, and I will see you on the debrief next week. Toodles!